Welcome to Cinema Cheese. Today we are going to be talking about a movie that I had the pleasure of seeing over the weekend in theaters. A movie that I was so excited for ever since I first saw the trailer for it. We are going to be talking about 2023's Godzilla Minus One. Is your war finally over? Is it? Regardless, when I tell you that I was excited after seeing the trailer for this movie, that's a fucking understatement. I loved Shin Godzilla that came out in 2016. I thought that movie was just phenomenal. I liked the way that it played out, the evolution of Godzilla in that, and Godzilla's look in that. And honestly, even though I like Minus One more, I believe, I think I like the look better in Shin Godzilla. But, I mean, just Godzilla's look, not the whole movie. I don't want to make that statement yet. When this movie gets released on physical, I plan on watching them both back to back. And when I do that, I want to do another video of both Shin Godzilla and Godzilla Minus One. If this is my favorite, Shin is a close second. That being said, I also want to emphasize the fact that a lot of the older ones I haven't seen since I was a small child. But we're here to talk about Godzilla Minus One, not anything else. I might make some references along the way. This is a newer movie, so I'm really going to try to not spoil anything, although I feel like a lot of people have already seen it. But in case you haven't, I definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you get a chance to see it in theaters. If not, no big deal. It'll be streaming soon. I recommend it. This movie was written and directed by Takeshi Yamazaki, who has made other movies. I think there was like 29 or 30 on his IMDb. None of which I have seen, though, until Godzilla Minus One. But seeing this, I might be inclined to check out some of his other stuff. This movie was so fucking good. It was so emotional and powerful. You got really great character development. You had characters you cared about. The performances from everybody across the board was phenomenal. It was written and directed really well. All the cinematography, the sound designs, the sets, everything looked and sounded amazing. This is probably my top movie of the year, if I'm going to be honest. I can't really think of anything else that came out in 2023 that I would say was better than Godzilla Minus One. The story mainly follows a kamikaze pilot who abandons his duties and claims he has mechanical failure in his airplane and lands on Odo Island. That pilot's name is Shikishima. Later that night, while still giant, smaller version of Godzilla comes to the base and attacks, and essentially kills everybody on the island. They do try to fight back. Shikishima was sitting in his plane with the heavy machine gun aimed right at Godzilla's face and freezes. He doesn't do anything. But honestly, it probably would be for the best, because I don't think it would have done anything to Godzilla other than piss him off, and Shikishima probably would have got killed, and then the whole flow of the rest of the movie would have been off. But that attack, that first attack before Godzilla's fully mutated, was really sweet, because he's smaller, he's more agile, he's a little, I don't want to say more aggressive, because he gets super aggressive at the end, but that attack scene was pretty violent, especially for being a PG-13 movie. There's only two people that survive, Shikishima and the mechanic of the island, but in the aftermath of the attack the next day, it does show like a realistic looking, all the dead bodies of the servicemen being wrapped up to be buried or whatever. That all looked good. And since Godzilla was smaller in this first attack, like I said, he was agile. He was able to reach down and bite people and toss them through the air and all this other stuff. Kind of felt like a Jurassic Park movie on steroids, but it wasn't. So after Shikishima and the mechanic get on the boat, go back to Tokyo. Tokyo is in shambles. Obviously, it's post-World War II. That's another thing I really liked about this movie. It took it back to the roots a little bit. Post-World War II, Japan being devastated by a nuclear attack. Godzilla is the byproduct of nuclear warfare, and that was all really well done. The first attack happens, Shikishima gets back to Tokyo. Tokyo's in shambles. He goes back to where he lived, and his neighbor greets him, and at first she's happy to see him, but then she's like, wait, you were a kamikaze pilot. You are a coward. You didn't perform your duty. This is your fault. And he's living with all this shame and guilt, but he wanted to live, and good for him for that. So he's getting by, going through town, looking for work, looking for things, when a woman runs past him holding an infant and kind of hands it off to him. He stands there holding it because she's being chased, and eventually he starts walking off with the baby because she hasn't come back yet when he comes across her again. This turns out to be Noriko, and the baby's name is Akiko. And if I'm saying any of these names wrong, I'm very sorry. Your boy ain't the best at pronouncing Japanese names, or any names for that matter, but I'm trying, so mean no disrespect, it is what it is. After the first attack until the second attack from Godzilla, 2 years go by. And during this time, Godzilla continues to grow and mutate from like nuclear testing and stuff like that, or any kind of nuclear radiation after the bombing that actually happened in Japan during World War II. And when he does come back, it's really sweet. So Shikishima gets a job on a boat, and his duties, it's a wooden boat, wrinkly old wooden boat. They're going out and disabling mines that were left there from the war, and as they're like cutting them and exploding them, some time goes by, and all of a sudden Godzilla starts coming back, and you get this really cool water scene with Godzilla. So they're on this boat getting the mines. They have 2 mines on board. I'm gonna try to not spoil the ending of this movie, but I want to talk about this scene because I thought it was really cool. So this might be a spoiler if you don't want to watch it. Completely understand. They're cutting the mines. They have 2 of them on the boat. When Godzilla, he comes up and he's now swimming behind this boat, and like his spikes, his spine is coming out of the back of the water. His head is. He's like swerving through it. It looks badass. But the second one, they get into his mouth, and Shikishima shoots it with the rifle on board, and it explodes, taking a good portion of Godzilla's face off with it. And as he's floating there, he rejuvenates. Like, his face just grows back, and he goes right back at it, which was fucking awesome. It looked great, but also it just brought a new depth of, oh, fuck. What are we gonna do with this thing? Conventional weapons don't fucking work. So he starts chasing the boat again, but then the Japanese Navy comes, and they fire their big cannons at it, and it just pisses off Godzilla, and he makes short work of pretty much everybody on the water except for Shikishima and gang. So that's it for spoilers. That's the only thing I'm going to spoil. It happens towards the middle of the movie, so it's not super drastic. I just thought it was really neat, and I thought it added a cool, another power to Godzilla. I don't recall really that kind of instant rejuvenation, and previous Godzilla movies. It could be there. A lot of the older ones I haven't seen since I was a kid, and the newer ones, with the exception of Shin Godzilla, I only watched once. So now Godzilla's back. He's a threat, and I don't want to go into all of the details of the movie. It's a 2-hour long movie. It's paced really well, though. You don't get bored. It doesn't feel like a 2-hour movie. It's got a good amount of character development, but also they made characters that you cared about. All of the characters, all of the acting, everything across the board was really well done in this movie. All the actors did phenomenal, especially the lead 3. The little girl that played Akiko, phenomenal. I don't even think she said too many words in it other than like daddy and stuff like that. But the performances she gave, like her feelings, touching. I mean, literally, like, I'm not gonna lie, I had tears rolling down my face at the end of the movie. Throughout the movie a couple times. Some are sad tears, some are happy tears. I'm not going to tell you in which order they happened in, but very emotional movie. Way more emotions than I ever would have expected from a Godzilla movie that came out in 2023. Seeing as like a lot of the American ones were just the action, the carnage, and that's fun too. I love that as well. But this movie is just on another whole nother level. And another thing that I really, really liked about this movie is it was the citizens, the people. Some of them did have military background, but they were all just citizens that band together, got their resources, fought Godzilla. They actually said at one point that they couldn't rely on the Japanese or the American governments to protect them, so they're going to do it themselves. And that is badass. Really, really love that. The ending of this movie is great. Like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but I do want to mention Godzilla's atomic breath in this movie was badass. Super fucking dope. The ending of this movie will not disappoint you. You get all of the Godzilla action, you get so much emotion from the characters and everything that happens. I just cannot recommend this movie enough, to be honest with you. I'm gonna be really fair and say this movie is a solid 9.5 out of 10. I'm just kind of iffy about calling something a 10 out of 10. But it's up there, especially for being a Godzilla movie. Definitely hope this team comes back and makes more Godzilla movies, more kaiju movies. I'd like to see this being more closer to the original one. There wasn't other giant monsters in it, just Godzilla. But I would be kind of interested in seeing what they would do with like Mothra, or maybe throwing Gamera in there. He's my favorite. I love turtles. But whatever they do, I hope they come back. I hope they do it. I hope they do it with the same passion that they made this one with, and I'm sure they will. 2023's Godzilla Minus One. Highly recommend it. Go check it out. But I'm going now, because I feel like I've talked about this movie quite a bit, especially it being only a one-time watch. You know, some of the details now are a little fuzzy. This is being recorded on a Tuesday. I watched it on Saturday, so days have gone by, and it's still in my head. Like, I'm still excited to see it a second time whenever it comes out on physical. I will be buying it. I'll probably pre-order it. That's all I got for now. Until next time, keep watching Cheese the Cinema. But most importantly, keep watching Cinema Cheese. It's your boy Queso out. Peace. Oh, I should stop.